So what we were going to talk about today for you is, of course, about MobileNAV, what we have done in the last period, so to say. So Tibor will demonstrate the new things about MobileNAV, and yeah, I won't talk about this because Tibor will. And then we will talk about a new solution that we developed to our partners and for us as well. The name of this product will be ReBilS, which is based on the recurring billing solution. And after that, I will talk about the Business Central SaaS licensing. I mean the MobileNAV part, because mostly you are interested about this, and we got many questions about what changed and what haven't changed. So yes, this will be one of our topic as well, and we also step forward with the sales and marketing. You might realize that we have a new MobileNAV website, and we also develop a new partner portal for you with many sales and marketing things. And yeah, we also would like to ask your opinion and ideas about what should we do next, but we will talk about this later. So this time I'm going to give the microphone to Tibor. Thank you.
Okay. So what happened since we last talked, and what you knew about MobileNAV? First of all, since we last held our webinar, we successfully made it to the Microsoft AppSource. So now MobileNAV is part of the Microsoft Business Central SaaS marketplace, which is also known as AppSource. And just around the directions EMEA, what we have recently attended, we have introduced also a couple of new languages, because originally it was just English only, because Microsoft is a bit restrictive about the translation of the ISV solutions. So all of the UI components, no matter whether it is an administrative user interface or normal UI for the end users, you need to translate everything. So we have asked for partners, and we will continue to do that. So now we have added something like 4 languages for MobileNAV in the AppSource. But you are welcome to send us an email where you are willing to help us with the translation, because these 4 languages has been added by partner translations. Of course, we also gave some compensation backwards to the partner for the translation itself. So now we are there with English, Dutch, French, what else? Polish and Italian. Yeah, that's the 5 languages what we support now. The German language is already available, and we are going to publish that in the next weeks to the AppSource as well. So these are the altogether 6 languages what we do support in the AppSource as well, and we are continue to extend that together with the Business Central SaaS supported countries as well. What also happened is that we are just about to publish the new release, which is 4.10, and that contains yeah, so to say minor fixes or minor features for the end users. But believe me, we have worked quite a lot of hours and weeks on the application itself, because we have changed our development platform to Xamarin, which means that now all of our platforms are on the same .NET core. I will also try to explain that in the next slides. And together with the AppSource publishing, we have already made our newest Business Central version, which is 15. And now the MobileNAV AL version is also compatible with the 15 version. and that is already published to the AppSource of Microsoft, and you can also download that from our partner portal, of course. So that is what happened so far. And what I would like to a little bit talk about is this change between the code base of MobileNAV. What you can see on this slide is what we had, for example, in 4.9 and before. So basically, there we had something like 6 different platforms, so to say, because we had this customer portal solution, the Windows 8 client, the Windows CE client, the Windows Phone client, and the iOS and the Android. So these were the 6 different platforms what we have supported, and the code base was looking something like this until 4.9. So basically, all the customer portal, the Windows 8 10 client, the Windows CE, and the Windows Phone client was based on the .NET platform, and the majority of the code base was implemented in a .NET Common component. So all these platforms were sharing the same code base. Of course, there were some smaller components of the code base on those platforms which were platform specific, so to say. But the majority, the core logic and the behavior was written in .NET in a common component. But the iOS and the Android platform was a different project and a different language. iOS was Objective-C and Android was Java. And that also means that we had to always implement this feature, and our developers love to implement these features in the .NET because it's much more user-friendly. And once we have implemented a new feature, then they had to copy the code into the iOS and to the Android code base, and then we could implement all the features this way. And now what happened in MobileNAV is that we have introduced Xamarin. Xamarin allows you to use .NET across the different applications. And now we are able to use this .NET Common component across all of our mobile platforms, what we do support. And not just that, so now as you can see, let's say 90% of our code base is on the very same .NET Common component. And basically all the supported platforms are having just something like a thin layer on the top of that .NET code base. Together with that, we have also introduced the new universal platform version of MobileNAV. So previously it was a Windows Store app for Windows 8, which also worked for Windows 10 in a compatibility mode. But now we have introduced the UWP client, which is the universal platform version of MobileNAV. You will also see that during the demo because I'm running that on my PC. And the iOS and Android, as you can see, is using Xamarin. And under the Xamarin code, we have this .NET component. So what we do believe from this very big change in our architecture and client applications is that the stability and the reliability and basically the maintenance of these different mobile platforms will become much easier for us, because we will have the same code base or almost the same code base across the different platforms. And thanks to Xamarin, for example, we were able to introduce, for example, logging on iOS, which was not possible in the iOS platform, in Objective-C. So now we have the very same log files across the different platforms on Android, iOS, or in the universal platform. Universal platform. So we do have logging. We do have all the nice features what the .NET and the Xamarin gives us on these platforms. Okay, and before we continue, I would like to show you what we have done in the AppSource. So what you can see on your screen is a Business Central admin center, where you can see that I'm already having a sandbox environment and a production environment prepared. And what we will do is that we'll use this sandbox environment, and I would like to show you a full round trip of MobileNAV, because this also has changed mainly because of the AppSource appearance, because now MobileNAV should be much more end user friendly, so to say, because the end user should also be able to somehow start using MobileNAV from the start. So install MobileNAV and do the initial configuration with the easiest way possible. So let me start a client on my PC, and I would like to launch this sandbox environment in this. I will log in with my user into Business Central, and once it's loaded, then we will search for MobileNAV. MobileNAV is not yet installed in this sandbox environment, so we'll very quickly try to install it together during this webinar, and you will also see how easy and user-friendly it is now to work with MobileNAV. So let's search for MobileNAV here. And as you can see, Microsoft is very nice, giving you the search options and the search results. And you can also see that MobileNAV is there in the AppSource, so you can click this link, and the AppSource will be open for you. On the AppSource welcome page, you can see the description and all the different details about the MobileNAV. So this is the AppSource page of our application. And here you can click this free trial, where the system will ask, okay, do you want to send information to the vendor? And you need to accept this. But if you click continue, then you will be basically asked on which environment do you want to install this application on. Because you can have multiple sandboxes or multiple production environments. I will choose the sandbox for now. If I click continue, then the extension installation will start. I can choose the language, and once I have chosen the language, then the actual installation will take place. This normally takes around 1 or 2 minutes. Sometimes it's faster, but sometimes it's a little bit slower. This depends on Microsoft. But now what's happening is that the AL version of MobileNAV will be installed on this sandbox environment, and once it is being installed, then you can continue the installation and the configuration of the extension itself. Okay, so normally this doesn't finish in time, so you will get something like a notification that the extension installation is in progress, and you can check the status on the deployment status page. So if I go back to the setup and extensions and go inside the extensions here, then there is a button in the manage and deployment status. And here you can basically check what is the deployment status of the extension packages what you are installing. And here you can see that MobileNAV is in progress at the moment. As I said, this normally takes 1 or 2 minutes, so it's not that long. Let's try to wait until that finishes. Unfortunately, there is no refresh button on this page, so I cannot really refresh it. But I usually close it and reopen it, and sooner or later it will be status completed, and then we can do the rest together. Yeah. Great. So now it has been completed. Very good. And what's next is that the user should go to the assisted setup. This is also new because we have introduced the assisted setup component of MobileNAV just because of the AppSource validation process. So now MobileNAV is also having a wizard in the assisted setup. So here you can see that there is a setup MobileNAV SSD setup option here, and if I click it, then the next finish installer or configurator will start of MobileNAV. There is a welcome page which you can press next, and the very next page is about license, and it is about the MobileNAV license basically. Here in the AL version of MobileNAV, we have granted access to start a trial period for the user, because the way it will work is that, as you could see, everyone can find MobileNAV in the AppSource. They can press install on it, and if it's installed, being installed on his sandbox or production environment, then we want to give him a very good feeling about the journey, what they're doing. So they should be able to start using MobileNAV without our assistance. And everyone is basically targeting this principle. So that's why we have a start trial period here. Of course, you have the import license button here. So if you already have your license, then you can import it here. But now let's start the trial period. Okay, we have started the trial, and the next step is to import the base configuration. If you press this button, then there's also a new option here. Previously, we had only the option to import the configuration from an XML file, but we also wanted to give the user a very good first impressions with MobileNAV. So that's why we have included the base configuration in our package. And it's not just true for the AL version, but it's also true for the CAL and all the other versions backwards to 2009 R2. So we have a new option in the configuration handling report, as you can see, which is the import base configuration option. And if you check that, then you don't need to import any XML file out of the package. You just basically start the import, and then you will be presented with a progress bar, and the normal import will happen. So I don't want to wait until this finishes. During that time, I would like to show you just a very small new feature of 4.10, what you already saw on the slides, which is basically the possibility to import and export device settings. What I'm having on this environment is what you see is the Universal Platform client here, and what I did is that I have configured a filter, a saved filter, which filters the items starting with B. And I also made that as a default filter. So every time the user opens up the items list, he will get the filters like this. I can also create a new filter here, like this, and I can also give it the name items with A. And I don't want to make it default. So once the user opens it up, then he can select two things here: item starting with B or item starting with A. That's great so far. So let's imagine that the user has many smart filters on his configuration already. But what happens if you want to move this to another computer or another device, or just into another login configuration on the same device itself? It's quite easy. You either go to the settings, and there you can have these two buttons for import settings and export settings, or you can also do that directly from the login configuration view. So let's do the export from here. Or if you press the export settings, then you are asked what do you want to export, because there are many things what you can export. You can export the save filters, you can export the filter preferences, which is basically the filter options like start with or matching the full word, whatever. You can have favorites, you can have navigation bar visibility settings, you can have show and hide settings already set, you can have shortcuts, you can have barcode settings, and you can have printers saved for the device. So all these are able to be exported, and if you press OK here, then it will allow me to in an XML file. So now we have exported our settings. Great. So now let's log out from here and go to the login configuration, and yeah, let's edit this configuration and do an action copy. So I will give it a name like new. Yeah, I can also change the name if I wish, like warehouse. Same password and the same server. So we are basically just creating a new login configuration for the user. This will be the username, etc. And let's let's save this. And once I save it, I can go to the actions and import the settings. So I will go to the desktop and import this device setting. And here it will allow me to import the different settings of the XML, because during the import you can also choose what do you want to import from the XML file what the user saved. So I will import everything. So now it is being imported. So now I log in. If I log in with this warehouse user, yes, of course, this is the first login, so it will download the configuration. And hopefully, once we log in and I go to the items list, then I have the items already starting with B as a default filter, and I also have the other filter for the items starting with A. So with this very nice feature, you can export and import the device settings, all the different kind of settings what you have. So from now on, you have the option to really copy and clone the device settings across login configurations or across different devices. And I hope you will love this feature. Okay, let's check back what we have done here. Okay, great. So in the Business Central SaaS environment, now the base configuration import has completed. So let's start with adding users. So let's select the user here. You can either select or enter it manually. It doesn't matter, so you can do both. And in this assisted setup, we have basically simplified our default profiles. So here, as you can see a profile selector like sales, service, warehouse, etc. So the user is having something like a very self-explanatory profile selector. So let's choose sales. He will specify the sale. He needs to specify the salesperson code, and he can define the login mode, which can be online, offline, or auto online, offline. Let's choose auto online, offline for now. But before we press next, he have a button here which called generate login configuration. He can press this button, and the well-known login configuration editor will pop up inside the Dynamics Business Central. Sorry. Here he need to enter a name for that, like Business Central SaaS test user. The authentication type will be Office 365 because this is a BC SaaS environment. And in that case, he needs to provide the Office 365 tenant ID and the Office 365 application ID, which is not, basically these are two GUIDs what you need to specify. And normally you need to go to the portal, to the Azure portal of your domain, and you need to go into the app registrations and do an app registrations in order to allow MobileNAV to connect through Office 365 authentication to Dynamics NAV, to Business Central. In order to ease that, what we have done is that we have a generate Azure AD app registration PowerShell script. If you click on that, then you can save it. Once it is being saved, then you can run that with a PowerShell. If I run the PowerShell, then of course it will ask about for authentication, because you need to access your Azure Active Directory. So test user at mobilenavtest.onmicrosoft.com. Password. Great. So it has accepted my credentials, and the PowerShell script will create the necessary app registrations inside this Azure Active Directory domain. You will see that here now it's connected to the Azure Active Directory, and it has also created a native app registration for MobileNAV. And finally, it tells you that these parameters can be copied to the MobileNAV configuration editor. That's very great. So I can just simply come here, copy it, and paste it to the tenant ID, go back, copy the application ID, and copy it here. So now we have all the different options, because all the other things like tenant, the company, the server, since we are in Business Central SaaS, the server is also self-explanatory, and it also knows the instance name, which is the GUID and the sandbox here. So basically we have everything what is needed for the client application to log in. So let's press the generate login configuration file. I save this file for now, and I go back. And I finish the MobileNAV setup wizard. Now it will generate the user-specific configuration for my test user, and once it's finishes, then I can go to MobileNAV and import this login configuration file. As you can see, the SSD setup now finished. So in theory, we have everything set up, and MobileNAV is ready to use here. Now let's go to MobileNAV and let's log out, and also close MobileNAV, and go to our download folder, and there you can see this BC SaaS test user MNLC file, which is MNLC goes for MobileNAV login configuration abbreviation. And if you double click on this file, then the device will open up the login configuration screen, and it will import all the data what we have specified inside the Business Central MobileNAV login configuration editor. So the tenant ID, the application ID, all the redirectories, all the server, instance, tenant, company, everything is filled for me. All I need to do here is just to press save. Yeah, of course, the PIN is mandatory for the offline login. But if I press save, it will ask for my credentials. And since we have generated that for the test user is already filled. Of course, you can also try to log in with a different user. And if you sign in, then yes, it will ask for permission, because this is the first login from this app registration from that domain. So it will ask for that. And now it has tested the connection to the Business Central SaaS environment, and you are ready to log in. And if I press login, then of course it will ask the offline data download, because we are downloading the offline data for the first time. But once I confirm it, it will start the data download from my Business Central SaaS environment. So basically what we have done together within this 15 minutes, so to say, is that we have used the clean Business Central SaaS environment, a sandbox environment. We have used the AppSource to install MobileNAV AL version. We have executed the assisted setup of MobileNAV. We have created the app registration. We have generated the login configuration for the user. We have started the trial period and imported the base configuration. So basically, MobileNAV is ready to use in this environment. As you can see, it's now downloading and caching the offline data. So after this login, you have a sales user with an auto online offline capability with your Business Central SaaS system. So I really hope that you have enjoyed this demo, because some parts is a bit technical, but needs to be done only once, because that is also true is that once you fill out the Office 365 authentication details on the next login configuration, you don't need to do that, because the system will remember that. All you need to change is the user ID and generate the login configuration for the different user ID, and that's all. So, but other parts are I think self-explanatory. And now the client has finished the login process, and now we have logged in, so I can go to the customers, for example, and see the customers from my Business Central SaaS environment, or I can go to the item catalog, choose the office chair, for example, and see the chairs of the demo database of Business Central SaaS. So yeah, that concludes the demo of mine. Let me go back to my slides. Okay. So Robert already mentioned that we have a new solution which is completely independent from MobileNAV, but we would like to take this channel as a platform for also showing to you. Maybe it's interesting for you, maybe it's interesting for your company, to be honest, because basically the main driver of the implementation of this add-on was especially the MobileNAV and the Dynamics NAV and the Business Central operations inside our company, because as you may know, when you sell NAV or Business Central, you either have a subscription model or you have a standard perpetual model where you ask for maintenance yearly, and this after some times getting a bit complicated when you want to follow the maintenance or the subscription fees, etc. So that's why we have developed something like a new module, which is basically targeting the recurring billing from Business Central or Dynamics NAV. This module is basically allows you to configure contracts, recurring contracts, what we say. And I will also very quickly show you this solution. So if I go to here and I search for recurring billing administration, then you can see that we have basically a general setup for that, and we have the contracts. Here you can have as many contracts as you wish for your NAV database, and in each contract you can have items to be billed repeatedly, basically. If I first open up not the customer, sorry, but the contract itself, then you can see that in the header we have some details like who is the customer. We have the concept of defining end users because we are all, as you know, MobileNAV is an ISV solution, and we are normally selling through partners. So normally the customer is who you are billing to, and the end user is who is owning the actual license. So the solution is also prepared for such behavior if you want to sell your solution through partners, because we have this end user and customer differentiation. And if you check, there are lines on the contract which can be items. In this case, we have a contract where we have sold basically a MobileNAV perpetual license. And if you scroll to the end, then you can also see that this happened somewhere in 2017 backwards, and that has been also already posted as an invoice. When you create a contract like this, and let me also try to create a new item here, just to show you what is happening here. If I select this perpetual license item in this database, then thanks to the recurring billing functionality, this will automatically create you a maintenance item below. And here you can also specify the quantity. You can also it will automatically give you the prices and all the dates for the invoice dates, etc. And you can start the billing process. Let me delete these two. Of course, when you delete the perpetual license, it will automatically delete the maintenance line as well. And from the contract, you can also see that there is this maintenance line which has been automatically created. And since they have bought 10 times 400 euro MobileNAV license, the license value was 4,000, and the maintenance cost is yearly 640. You can set the invoice period for the lines, which in this case is flexible. So you can have 1 month, 3 months, 1 year, etc. When you set the invoice period and the next invoice start date, the system will automatically calculate the next invoice period end, etc. And yeah, there is an invoice already created, but let me quickly delete that, because that was during the preparation. So basically, let's imagine that, as you can see, this is the maintenance line, and by 2019 it has been invoiced already, and the next invoice will be from 2009 September to the next year in September the 6th. That will be the next period what you want to invoice to the customer. That's one contract. The other contract is a much simpler contract. There, of course, you also have the customer and the end user, but this case, this customer is a subscription license. Basically, they are hiring five MobileNAV licenses here, where the cost is €12 per user per month, and that's basically 60, and we are invoicing that every month. And here you can also see that there were there is some unposted things as well, but let me quickly also delete that, because I would like to also show you how these invoices are being generated. But if you click on the posted to date, then you can also see that the history was something like this. We had one invoice in April, and we had one invoice in May already. So these are the two contracts what we have in the setup. And if you go back, then you can have a create invoice functionality here. If you press the create invoice, then the system will start to check all the different contracts what you have in your system. And if it finds any recurring lines what needs to be created as a sales invoice, then it will create the sales invoice for you. In this case, 2 invoices has been created. If I go back to the first contract, then you can see that now there is an unposted to date date here. Yeah, and if you click that, then you can see that there is a sales invoice number here. If you open up the sales invoice, then you can see that there is a customer who you are billing to. You can have something like lines which the system will automatically fill out with the contract reference and with the period, with the MobileNAV maintenance license, with the amount, etc. So basically, the system has prepared the sales invoice for you for this particular period. And all you need to do is just to, for example, press post, and the invoice will be posted. No, I don't want to see the posted document. And if you go back, then you can see that the posted to date is now 2012, and the next invoice start and the finish has also automatically jumped to the next period. Let's also check another contract, which is a subscription contract. There is also a sales invoice which is pending for posting. If you check it, then there is a subscription license for 5 pieces with €12. 60 euro is the full amount. And if you post it, no, I don't want to see it. And if you go back, then you can see that the next invoice period will be in July. And then you can also press this create invoices, and the system will continue to create the invoices for each and every period of yours. So basically, I hope that you could see during the demo that this is basically an add-on which basically simplifies the billing process if you have any recurring billing. It's not just for licenses, not just for subscriptions, but every kind of service-related monthly invoices or annual invoices. You can quite easily set them up in this add-on, and you can have the sales invoices auto-generated. And from then on, basically, it's up to you whether you want to automatically post these invoices with the batch posting possibility, or you want to check that and verify them before pressing post. So that concludes my presentation. I feel I would like to give back the word to Robert. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tibor. I really hope that you liked this new solution that we started to develop, I don't know, months ago or a little bit more. And yeah, let's go back to the other topic and go back to the MobileNAV. And as I mentioned, I would like to tell you something about the Business Central SaaS licensing. I mean, not the Dynamics part, but mostly what we should tell you about MobileNAV. First, what I would like to tell you that the MobileNAV licensing haven't changed. I mean, we still use the same licensing, so you have to purchase or subscribe the MobileNAV device licenses directly from us. So we give you the license keys, and we still use the device-based licensing and the page-based licensing. And we also haven't changed the prices. So yeah, you can ask anytime for the prices from us, but we still haven't changed it. The only thing that has changed is the NAV part, I mean the Business Central part of the licensing, because regarding Microsoft licensing policy, every user has to be licensed, because in Business Central only the named user licensing is available. And for MobileNAV, you might know that, I hope yes, that previously on the on-premise versions, and is still available for the on-premise NAV and the on-premise SaaS not SaaS, sorry, so the on-premise Business Central, the ISV device licenses are still available for you, which is for some scenarios, especially for sales and warehouse. And you can still order this type of licenses from us to the customer. But for the SaaS version of Business Central, Microsoft changed this, so the ISV device license is not available for the SaaS version, but they created a new license type, which name is device license. So it's not ISV device license, it's just device license, but it is described on the Microsoft Dynamics licensing guide. Just I would like to show you to know that what I'm talking about. Just give me a sec. Teams. Okay, because I put some important thing here. So first of all, if you check the Microsoft Dynamics licensing guide, which can you find on the internet, and from the page 7, let me show it to you. Let's jump to that page. Here you can see this Dynamics 365 Business Central device, and here this is well described that this license is for what scenario, what functionality. As you can see, you can use it for point of sales, store manager, shop floor, and warehouse device. It means that if somebody would like to use MobileNAV in the Business Central SaaS, you can still have, or the customer still have the option to license these users with the device license for these functionalities. And the device license can be ordered from the CSP partner directly, or from Microsoft directly if you are a direct CSP partner. So that's what you have to know about the licensing change. So not much changed, only the Dynamics license part has changed. What I also would like to talk about, because it's also in the topic, some partner information and what we plan in the next. So yeah, partner information. I hope that you already have seen the new MobileNAV website. It was released, I think, in April this year, so not brand new, but it's quite new because we designed it in this year. You still find every information in this site what was previously. If you check, there is some changes. On the top right corner, you can find the menu items, all the pages that you can find here. Mostly the interesting part is the barcode scanning, because we get the questions about the availability of MobileNAV and where you can find the install guide. So if you check the barcode scanning part of the website, you will see some devices that was mostly tested with one of the partners or by us, and you can also find the configuration guides. We usually put the new devices here, so if you cannot find your device or the device that is planned to install, then it's not a problem, because mostly we test it for you if we have the device. So we usually ask our partners or the customers to send the device to us, and we can test it for you. But mostly, if you use the platform, you can still use the configuration guide, and it is possible that it will work for you. So yeah, you can find every information on the website, but we also step further, because we started to create a new partner portal. I hope I can log in with Tibor's access.
Okay, then thank you very much, all of you. And if you are planning to come to Tech Days into Antwerp, then some of you may meet me there. And if not, then see you and speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.